Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's open with a word of prayer. Our gracious Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for these ladies that are here that want to hear what you have to say to us about how we should be living, how we should be doing things according to the way you designed our bodies. And I just thank you for that. And Lord, I just pray that you will guide and direct in our discussion time today and help us to understand these things. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so in the last few weeks, we've mentioned several times things about listening to your body, right? And what does your body say? Because something that might be okay for me might not be good for you. It might be fine for me, but it might totally upset your digestive system, or it might do something else to you. So it's important to learn how to listen to our body. And I came across this email, and I just wanted to read it to you because it just fits so perfectly along with that. This person says, "Today I want to talk about something that I only recently learned in the last 2 years. It's listening to yourself, listening to your body. One thing about modern society is we're doing a lot of things, eating a lot of different foods, taking a lot of medications and supplements. Oh, and a lot of stress too. What does this do? It confuses us and our bodies. We have so many inputs coming in, so then we don't feel good. So when we don't feel good, two things happen. One, we don't know what to change. And two, we think all the healthy things we're doing can't possibly be causing the problem. So we continue on those, or maybe double down on them, get even more of them. I thank the Lord that He taught me differently in 2 ways. One, I had genetic testing done and found out one of my variations means I'm sensitive to supplements, especially active forms of them. 2, I got really sick, chronically sick, and nothing was helping, not even my thyroid medication that had helped in the past. So the Lord showed me that I was on the wrong path. To get me on the right path, I believe He started stripping things from me, starting with food. I'd have a strong reaction to food. It would stand out from everything else. One of the biggest was chocolate. I ate a lot of chocolate. I used it to self-medicate, and now I can see that. The caffeine, the sugar, the copper. Anyway, God started making me really sick to my stomach and get digestive distress whenever I would eat it. He made eating it hurt so bad so that I would give it up. He did the same thing with the bioidentical hormones that I was taking. I was dizzy, so sleepy, and headaches. I had to give those up too. Most of the issues, except the underlying fatigue, it's a separate issue, subsided when I stopped taking the hormones. Fruit, most foods with fiber. Now you might be saying, but wait, what is wrong with those? Fruit and fiber? Nothing in and of themselves. Even a bit of chocolate isn't a big deal. But I had to learn to listen. My nutrients were so out of balance, and I believe God let it get so bad before I got better so that He could teach me a bigger lesson. How to listen to my body. Stripped down to a few foods and living a pretty clean lifestyle means when you eat something out of the ordinary or just different than your normal routine, you can tell what your body thinks of it. Not that the food is necessarily bad, but sometimes it is. Just what is its effect on you? Look, I'm not saying you should only eat 6 different foods like I was for a while. I don't know what the number is for anyone else, and 6 isn't even my number anymore, thank the Lord. All I'm saying is that simplifying all the impulses and stimulation helps you listen to your body. One of the ways I've simplified in the past couple of years is I stopped taking most supplements and I hung on to only a choice few that I know actually help me feel better and get better. By all accounts, everything I was struggling with 2 years ago is markedly improved through taking this approach. So she had to strip down to a few things to try to figure out what it was that was causing her body to react, even though it wasn't causing anyone else's. And we might have to do that. That's one kind of a fast, eliminating certain things, going on a fast, which means just avoiding those things for a period of time until you know that your body can handle those things. That might be something that you need to work at. So I just thought that was a really good article, and so I wanted to bring that out. Another thing I want to talk about today is vitamin D. What is vitamin D? Where do we get it?
It's the sunshine.
The sun.
The sunshine vitamin.
The sunshine. That's where we get vitamin D. But a few years ago, they introduced this little pill.
Little football.
Yeah, this little pill. And I remember the first time I saw that, I thought, in my thinking was, but isn't vitamin D from the sun? If it's from the sun, how can it be in a pill? And it didn't make sense to me. But I started taking it because people that I trusted said I should take it. Okay? And just this last week, I was reading another article that, did you know when you take D3 that there are certain things you're supposed to take with it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was just told, take D3. It's important. You need it. I was not told that you shouldn't take it unless you take it with certain other things. Yes?
I was severely anemic of D3 because of my bad thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have me, my numbers are better when I do the blood test. So I take a D3 because I was severely anemic to the D3.
So we're going to talk about a little bit about D3 for just a little while. So I have another article here that I'm going to read, not all of it. But one thing I want to say about this person, he loves the Lord, but sometimes he's a little crude in the way he says things. He says them in a not so nice way. Me, I could think of a nicer way of saying certain things than the way he does. So just listen to this. This is what he has to say in this little article that he wrote. It's time to take down one of the biggest myths that I see floating out there on X. That's that. What's X? Is that? Twitter. I've never been on Twitter. It's now called X, but anyway, it's out there. And it has it has to do with one of the established biggest vitamins. And he calls it poison D3. And this is what he has to say about it. So just listen, keep an open mind about why he says this. Is the myth that it's poisonous? No, that's a fact. In fact, many vitamin D3 lovers will admit this. It's why they tell everyone to use it in the right way, by taking it with vitamin K2. As posted on Vitamin King, this is what they have to say. This is a quote from Vitamin King. A lot of you would benefit from taking high doses of vitamin D, but you must also take vitamin K2 along with it. D will increase calcium absorption, while K2 will ensure that it doesn't get deposited in your arteries.
Yes.
What happens when calcium gets deposited in your arteries?
They get brittle and they break.
Mm-hmm. And they build up the plaque, and they build up all of those things that can lead to heart disease, right?
Stroke and heart attacks.
So they're saying you want to make sure you take it with K2 so you don't get heart disease, okay? If you haven't already, reread that last line. So we'll read it again. D will increase calcium absorption while K2 will ensure it doesn't get deposited in your arteries. It smells fishy, right? D will increase calcium absorption while K2 will ensure it doesn't get deposited in your arteries. So based on his post, he's admitting if taking it on its own accord, it could cause problems down the line. In other words, he's admitting that taking vitamin D3 is a poison, right? I wouldn't personally have labeled it that way, but that's the way this person is labeling it. And we'll go on to see why he thinks it's a poison, okay? But don't worry, he tells us take K2 with it and all will be okay, right? Well, maybe not. A study from the Journal of the American Heart Association, the American Heart Association is crying out, and they found out this is not the case. From the study, vitamin K2 and D in patients with aortic valve calcification, a randomized, double-blind clinical trial. That's the title of this thing. They give long titles, okay? It says the following. The progression of aortic and coronary artery calcification score was not significantly different between patients treated with the K2 plus vitamin D and patients receiving a placebo. There was no difference at the rate of heart valve surgery. They go from 1 versus 2 patients, and it goes through the stuff, which I don't understand about all this stuff, cause of death and all this other stuff. But anyway, they didn't find any difference between taking those two together and a placebo. In other words, that combination didn't do anything. Well, except for finding that pockets of angry online health gurus who copy one another like a game of telephone, you know. Anyway, yeah, that's right. This idea that D3 and K2 isn't new. Nor is the idea that D3 is and of itself a poison that has put people, not rats, but actually people on their deathbeds because they put a little bit too much in dairy. He's going to go on and explain some deaths that have come from them putting D3 in some of your milk products and stuff like that.
Oh, boy.
So here's another article. It's called An Outbreak of Hypervitaminosis D, which is too much vitamin D, with the over-fortification of milk from a home delivery dairy gives us another reason why fortification is a bad idea. Over-fortification of milk with vitamin D can lead to hypervitaminosis D, which is too much D, manifested by severe illness and death. Oops. But hey, it's all part of the science, and it's how we learn. Am I right? What's next? Fortify the milk with K2. Why don't we fortify the sun? That bulky, bright object in the skin with some vitamin K2 while you're at it. Except we don't get hypervitaminosis D from the sun. Only when we take it in those little capsules, in those little pills. So, if you want to get the best vitamin D you can get, touch some grass and soak in the sun. And he goes on to some other stuff. He recommends something instead of that, using something he calls, it's a Spurdy vitamin D sun lamp.
Oh yeah, I thought about doing that too because the doctor, she was telling me that you need to take vitamin D. Because I'm like, well, I get it in my regular multivitamins. She says, but your levels are still really low. And then I made it like way too high, and that causes liver problems, fatty liver. And I'm like, well, what the heck? So either too high or too low. And then, so I thought about, lying in a tanning bed.
Oh, yeah.
For,
melanoma.
Even though you don't have to lay in it for very long.
We're gonna go on and discuss some options.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna look at right now. So if taking those little capsules are not the best thing for us, is it important that we have vitamin D?
Yes.
It's very important. There is lots of studies out there. I even remember when I was a kid watching that movie of The Secret Garden.
Yeah.
Remember that movie?
I
love that one. What did they do with that boy that had been sick and he was in that bed and he'd been there for a long, long, long time? What did they do?
They took him out to the garden.
They took him out to the garden, and what happened?
It was in the sunshine.
In that sunshine, he got well. He got well. It is a proven thing that people need sunshine. We need to get that vitamin D, and it's important. And living where we live, it's a known fact that we are deficient in vitamin D because we don't get much sun here, right?
Yeah.
A lot more in the summer, but this time of year, we don't get much, right? So what can we do? I went in and checked on this Spurdy sun lamp. It was more than I can afford. It was $300 and some, I think it was. I'm just like, whoa. But then I read another article. And this is another, I've read some other things from this gal to you before. Her name is Megan Stevens. She writes a blog. Her blog is called Eat Beautiful. And so she was talking about this an alternative to the Spurdy, which is so expensive, is she recommends this how as humans to use a reptile lamp for vitamin D finally provides an affordable means for more of us to get UVA and UVB light each winter in the absence of enough sunlight. Well, I personally have and love the Spurdy sun lamp and use it faithfully multiple times each week. Not everyone can or wants to afford the investment. So I was very happy to discover this very affordable alternative. Use a reptile lamp instead. People get them for those tanks that they have to put their reptiles in. Reptiles need the sun. They have to have the sun, and so this is what they do for them. I have several acquaintances who have gone this route. Some have done testing for vitamin D levels, and all are happy with the results. So they've actually tested their vitamin D and find it's bringing their vitamin D levels up. So,
the reptile lamps are?
While we often talk in terms of needing vitamin D, what the body really needs is light. The human body uses light to detox toxins from the skin, and vitamin D is produced in the process. When we take oral vitamin D, we are simply loading our bloodstream with this hormone that is then ushered into the liver. What we really need is light, and then our body knows what to do with it. So, what is a reptile lamp? Reptiles need light even more than we do, and they need the same light we do, sunlight, which provides UVA and UVB rays, as well as warmth. Reptile lamps provide the answer for pet lovers who have their reptiles in aquariums, away from natural sunlight. Reptile lamps are required for the survival of these cold-blooded creatures. But what an inexpensive solution for other humans, for some humans too. So why we need sunlight? Each winter, billions of humans suffer from lack of sunlight. We just don't detox as well without it. In recent years, some have been diagnosed with conditions like seasonal affective disorder, they call it SAD, a form of winter depression that sets in from lack of light. While light therapy energy lamps really help, and I used one myself for years, the bigger, better solution is a light source that provides UVA and UVB rays. But billions of humans do not suffer from SAD, and yet our bodies still need light. Whether we feel symptom-free, have low energy, struggle with autoimmune diseases, or moody or depressed, our bodies need sunlight for optimal function. If we struggle with health issues, we need light even more for detox and to overcome toxic burdens. So, what are some sources of light getting this in the winter? One is a sun lamp. If you can afford it, I first and foremost recommend the Sperti sun lamp. And she recommends the Fiji sun lamp, not the vitamin D model. So I guess they have more than one model for the Sperti, because it most closely simulates the sun's rays. This light, ideally used in a warm room, helps the body produce vitamin D and detox. So it helps your body create its own vitamin D. That's what the sun does. The sun causes your body to produce vitamin D. Okay? You could use, like Tiffany was mentioning, tanning beds. That's another possibility. That's an option if you have accessibility to them. I don't know right now. I know there used to be a place here in town that had some, but they're out of business, and I don't know where you would even find those right now, but that would be a possibility if you wanted to go that route, because that would provide those things. It could be argued that tanning beds are the best option for vitamin D production because of the warmth mentioned that it accompanies the UV rays. But because this choice is so controversial, I hesitate to say it's the best option. And the tanning beds are not as convenient as a tool that can be used at home. You have to go somewhere else usually. I don't know anyone who has a tanning bed in their own home. So unless perhaps you have a gym that offers the tanning beds or whatever. And the price of them can be really expensive. A third alternative, for many, the Sperti model is too expensive and tanning beds aren't convenient, or perhaps you can't get over your former misconceptions or conceptions about tanning beds. So now there's another alternative, and that is the reptile light. For the benefit one, for the cost of the socket and bulb, plus the optional lamp stand and lamp, consider purchasing a reptile light for the cheapest and best solutions. It's around $60. It's a whole lot better than $300 and some dollars, right? A whole lot better. Benefit two, in addition to the price benefit, the other advantage is using a reptile light lamp is warmth that comes off of it. They give warmth. So how to use one of these reptile lamps? You could even use it to tan, I guess. I don't know. But it also produces the vitamin D. The two advantages mentioned above come with one quirky step. The lamps are small, so here's how to make it work. 1, carve out 20 minutes or less twice a week, or more often if preferred. Listen to a podcast or music or whatever you enjoy during this time while you're sitting or laying down to rest, and just breathe. 2, turn the lamp on for 5 minutes before you lay under it or sit under it and sit in front of it. The lamp does not emit UVB rays immediately. It takes a while, so you got to turn it on ahead of time. 3, position the small lamp so it points at one spot on your torso. Have a naked upper body or just a bra or bikini top or something for women. Have and use protective eyewear, either goggles or something draped over your eyes to protect your eyes from these rays. 4, start with a 1 to 3 minute stints and work up to 5 to 7 minutes.
How many watts?
I'll get to that in just a second. It works well for your body, or stay at 3 minutes in each spot if you want. Set a timer as you begin each time. Relax for those few minutes. When the timer goes off, move the light to the next spot on your torso. So it sounds like they would go 1, 2, 3, they move it around your torso. Repeat this until you've covered your torso area, so 3 or 4 times total. That's it. You're done. If you love it and want to go longer or want greater benefits, do the same thing on your back. They said you can do it on your back. I was talking to someone else and they put one, they have it at their desk and they have it hanging above their head. Of course, this person was bald. So it would absorb better. But he has it hanging above his head and turns it on when he wants it there. What are the cons of using a reptile light? There are some drawbacks. One, it's a little odd and inconvenient to have to move the lamp 3 or 4 times to cover the surface of your torso. But 4 times in 20 minutes isn't that bad for a serious health benefits and savings. In fact, even I move the squirty lamp to multiple locations on my body. It takes longer, but I get more benefit from greater exposure. The second hassle or whatever is that bulbs do have to be replaced. So the $30 investment will need to be repeated. How often varies upon each product, but oftentimes lights last 6 months or more. I was down at I went down to Petco the other day and we're just looking to see what they had. And some of them, they said, this will last a year. But I got to thinking, it lasts a year for a reptile when you have it on all the time.
Yeah.
It seems like it would last longer if you're just using it for a few minutes a day or a few times a week. Anyway, so it doesn't seem like it would be that expensive, but this approach is a lot cheaper than a tanning bed. And then you either need to buy a lamp stand as well, or you need to create a system for where and how to clamp and hang the light. There has to be a way of hanging it so that you can get underneath of it and you get the benefits. The stand, lamp stand keeps the setup process, makes it very quickly and easy, and is still quite inexpensive. So what are the best ones for human use? When you search for reptile lamps, most provide either light or heat, but not both. While what reptiles are ideally provided by their owners and certainly provided with by good breeders is also what humans most need. The proper balance of ultraviolet light, including the UVA and UVB, and infrared light, which is the heat, in one lamp. So that's what you want to look. You don't want to look at one that has just heat or just the UVA, UVB. You want one that has both in one light, okay? So she got to looking around and found one that's called from ReptiZoo Reptile Lamp. It has a ceramic socket, and it makes a great choice because of the ceramic base, making it a long-lasting and allowing for the production and transfer of heat. So that ceramic base on it is very beneficial. I saw some that were tubes like this. That would be very difficult to use. But this was like a round light that like you screw in socket things, but it was ceramic where you screw it in. Choose a bulb based on the desired wattage. Here's your question, okay? You can get 100 watt, or you can get 160 watt, or you can choose as low as a 25 watt. If you choose the 25 watt, you need to sit as close as 12 inches from it because it doesn't do as much. If you get the higher powered ones, you want to be farther away, like more like 30 inches, almost 3 feet away, because you don't want to overpower. So you need to choose, if you happen to find one that's really high powered, then you've got to sit farther away than if you get a 25 watt. If the 25 watt, you have to be really close, okay? Okay.
And where did she get the light stand?
She got the light stand, and she has a link here, and I went and looked it up on Amazon. And I can send you that link if you want,
Yes.
and you can look it up. It seems like the one she was looking at, that I saw on Amazon was around $60. And I think the stand was like $12. It wasn't that expensive for the stand. So I can send you that if you want that. Or you can figure out a different way of like clamping it to something so that it would hang right, if you can figure out your system. But I didn't think your $12 or something was that bad to get for a stand. And then you want to position yourself anywhere between the 12 to 30 inches from the lamp, depending on your wattage. And you start with just 1 to 3 minutes at a time, and you do it in there 3 or 4 spots around your torso, and you should be doing it. You can do it daily, or you can do it fewer times, like 2 to 3 times a week instead. And then you increase the daily amount of time just gradually up to 5 minutes, or a little longer, maybe up to 7 to 8. But you don't need to do it for a long period of time. It's just a short period of time is all that's needed. So I thought that was really interesting. So we talked back in the fall when we were doing the magnesium. We talked about a little bit about calcium. Why was one of the reasons magnesium was so important? What do we need to remember about the balance between magnesium and calcium? You remember? You always need to make sure that your magnesium is higher than your calcium. Okay? What happens if you are taking a calcium supplement? Do you know what happens? What is calcium for? First of all,
It's for your bones
For our bones
and your teeth.
and your teeth. Okay.
But if you get too much calcium, it goes into your arteries and your other parts of your body, and you can get heart disease really quick.
Right. It
Too
doesn't
much calcium.
always go into the proper place.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to make sure you are taking more magnesium than calcium, because magnesium will balance it out to make sure that your calcium goes to the proper places and not into, because it doesn't just go in your veins, and it can go in your heart.
And this is where
Going in the
K2 comes in handy too.
That's another thing for
Yeah.
K2 with the D3, what they were saying, but then they said, another article said it didn't help. So I don't know. One said it does, another said it doesn't, so I don't know.
So
On that.
it's a mixed bag.
But it can also, calcium is hard. And they were finding, I remember reading this years ago, people were using oyster shell calcium. Is that a soft or a hard mineral?
A hard mineral.
Very hard mineral. And what they were finding out is the body did not know how to break it down. And it was, when it would get into the bloodstream then, it would deposit it all over the body. So they would start growing bone spurs. They would start getting plaque in their veins. It would calcify organs, not just the heart, but it can calcify the lungs, the liver, anything.
Yeah.
It can make deposits in your skin, and so that it can cause
Osteoporosis.
osteoporosis and all of these things.
Osteoarthritis.
You do not want too much calcium or the wrong kind of calcium, okay? That is very important. So I have several different doctors that have said, do not take calcium pills, okay? Get them from your food rather than from capsules. And then you also have to make sure that you're getting magnesium, because it will balance it out so that it doesn't get too high. But I read this article and I thought, what? This is also from the same person I was just reading from, Megan Stevens of Eat Beautiful. And she says, her article is called, How I Got Rid of My Daughter's Cavities in 4 Months Using Oral Calcium Therapy. So I'm going to read what this has to say. And what is it? I had never heard of oral calcium therapy before. So, So she says here, I was astounded how easy it was to get rid of my daughter's cavities. I even wrote the founder of this product and asked, is this normal? To which he replied back, yes, he's seen amazing results during the past 50 years that he's been using this in over 65 countries. If you're new to the idea of putting a specially formulated therapy of calcium zinc liquid on teeth and gums to cause complete oral health recovery, I was too until several months ago. I learned from functional medical doctors many years ago not to take calcium pills. Calcium supplements raise blood calcium levels, which actually throw off the balance of the minerals in your body, and it does not build bone. Calcium pills do increase the risk of heart attack and death. So honestly, I was wary of any calcium product. However, oral calcium therapy was recommended by my doctor. He works in this careful spirit of do not harm, with incredible research into what actually causes deep recovery in the body. So I tried it. I am also reassured that the oral topical application of this product is negligible in terms of how much calcium is ingested, because you don't swallow it. You only put it in your mouth and then you spit it out. Okay?
Yeah.
As with any supplement though, consult your doctor, and if you don't feel good using it, like we talked about, listen to your body. If it doesn't help, then don't take it. When we adopted our daughter from Africa almost exactly 1 year ago, she was 4 years old at the time and came home to us with a few cavities in her molars that you could easily see. I'm so sorry now that I did not photograph her teeth so that as to be able to provide before photos. But I hope you can imagine the likelihood of a child growing up in a shelter who was suffering from malnutrition and lack of good oral hygiene. She had cavities. I waited to take her to the dentist for several reasons. During that delay, I focused on diet and looked for ways to reverse the cavities before her first dentist appointment. After she'd been home about 7 months with a nutritious diet, I learned about oral calcium therapy. I read up on it and ordered a bottle. We started brushing her teeth with this easy product. My husband is the one who brushes her teeth at night as part of our bedtime routine. So I literally did not look at her molars for months amidst our busy lifestyle. Then one night recently, when I was doing her teeth for a change, I peeked in to see how her cavities looked and was truly astonished to find that they were all completely gone. In just 4 short months, gone. How could this be? Most people believe fillings are the only answer or worse interventions for bad cavities. Still others share remedies that aren't safe. Yet we found something that works so gently and effortlessly. Yes, success that easily. Check that box. No cavities. But we'll continue to use Oral Cal mouth rinse for overall teeth and gum health as well as cavity prevention. So she goes into how this happened. The oral calcium therapy products and approach were created by a Dr. Mark Manhart back in the 1970s. He's been using them with his patients and sharing the method worldwide since that time. These products contain calcium, zinc, and trace amounts of magnesium. As I'll describe more below, patients brush these minerals onto the teeth and then allow them to absorb while they sleep. From the calcium therapy website, it's, quote, "These rapid, safe, advanced dental treatments stimulate the gums, the bone, whiten and tighten the teeth. They control abscesses, cysts, and bad breath." When you go to the website, you'll see most of all is testimonies and information about his products healing periodontal disease. Look for amazing recovery of gum health, no longer needing dental interventions or surgery, and also some talk of cavity prevention. Regarding specifically the product which I use, it's called Oral Cal Mouth Rinse. It reduces plaque, stains, bad breath, calculus. I'm not quite sure what.
Calculus is the hard
Okay.
Yeah.
Sensitivity, decay, and soothes canker sores or similar gum irritations. It does all those things. Dr. Mark explains that teeth are very porous. I went online last night and was listening to his short little videos, like 1 to 3 minutes. They're really short. And he explains about how porous the porcelain is and how this goes in and clogs that up. He says that when we whiten our teeth with products like peroxide, they are actually sucking calcium from them. It's the worst thing that we can do is use peroxide. Instead, when we use calcium on top of the teeth with this product and don't rinse it off and leave it there night after night, the teeth suck it up into those pores, the porous stuff. And as a result, the teeth harden and whiten. And then I printed out the article. I went to the website. This is a bottle of what it looks like, okay? And I thought, at the cost of it, I thought, wow, that's expensive. Until I went on to learn, I'm just gonna read what this says, because it actually, one bottle goes a very, very long ways.
Yeah.
They developed this method after 9/11, after COVID hit, and they could no longer ship liquids. They had to figure out another way of getting the product into people's hands. So they developed this method. It's a rinse, a mouth rinse. It's an 8-ounce bottle, and it has the calcium zinc solution, which is made up, it will make up to 2 gallons, this one little thing. You can find it at calciumtherapy.com is the website, calciumtherapy.com. And it's really weird how he's got this bottle, this 8-ounce bottle, but it's basically empty, except for they put this stuff right around the mouth, inside the mouth, the lip of the bottle. And what you do is you fill it with the purified water, and then you tip it upside down overnight or for at least 6 hours. And that stuff goes up into the water. And then you tip it up and use it that way until it's gone. Then you can fill it up again, tip it upside down for about 6 to 8 hours, and then tip it back up and keep using it. That's how you can get so much out of it. They used to make the whole product and send bottles of this out. And now they figured out how to just do it this way, and you can make your own in this short period of time. But it cleans and soothes the mouth tissue. It reduces bleeding of gums, desensitizes teeth, strengthens teeth and their ligaments, and strengthens the oral bone. And it reduces plaque, stains, bad breath, calculus, sensitivity, all of that stuff, canker sores, gum irritations. It does all those things, but that's how you use it. But you find it on calciumtherapy.com. And it looks like, from what this said, it's $38 for that, but it'll go a very long way, like I said.
$38 isn't bad at all.
Yeah, when you can keep using it over and over.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's what you do with it. But you can go on that website and he will show you on the one for the Oral Cal mouth rinse. There's also another one, something else I'm going to talk about here. But he has a couple of videos on how to do that. So that's that. Okay. And she explains a little bit how to use it. I'm not going to go into all of that. Who should not use this? That's an important thing to know. If you are very sensitive to zinc, which a small percentage of the population is, then you might react to this product. And some people react to zinc not because it's bad, but because it causes a the detox of copper. And if you have too much copper in your system and it starts detoxing, it can cause side effects. Okay? And so until you can get the copper levels down where you stop reacting, then you could start using it. But it might take a while to get to that. So that's someone, if you're reactive to zinc because of the detox effect, then it might be hard for you to take this product. Okay. If you have sensitive gums, we're going on to some cofactors. If you have sensitive gums or gums that bleed, you may very likely be deficient in vitamin K. Some patients add vitamin K to their toothbrush when they brush. There's another one in here I'm going to show you in just a minute here. He also has a toothbrush that has this stuff on it that you can use for a long time. It was at least 6 months. I'll see in just a minute.
Is that like the charcoal toothbrushes?
Only this does not get your mouth black. It's white.
No, there's actual toothbrushes that have charcoal embedded into the
Maybe.
bristles.
I don't know. So, also, similarly, magnesium citrate powder can be helpful to some. Another mineral that may be helpful to the gums, whatever, I'm not sure what that meant. But for most, just starting with one of his simple and easy to use products may be enough. Do the other side, yes. In ancestral communities, some success stories with cavities exist from the use of fermented cod liver oil. They've found that out in different communities, that something like that can help with the oral health. For those interested in or confused with fermented cod liver oil, when cod liver oil is digested, two things happen. One, it creates aldehydes, and two, the vitamin A in it oxidizes. This oil is not a food to be eaten. It is a toxic fat to be avoided. And she goes into more about that. And then in regard to butter oil, often recommended for this, ideally we consume a vitamin K2, MK4 for tooth repair, but avoid butter oil and high-fat supplements to avoid fatty liver. If you supplement with vitamin K pills, choose the vitamin K without the vitamin D, she says here. And then she talks about using something else to get your vitamin D, like the reptile lamp or the squirty lamp or something like that. So, she also used some dietary changes for her daughter when she came off this and it changed her, got rid of the cavities. When we are less toxic, our teeth and gums reflect that. I could never say enough good things about she's on a low vitamin A diet for improving liver and general health. She goes into that, and I'm not going to worry about that. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to show you that's on that website, he has a calcium zinc toothbrush. Okay? So you can also find that on that calciumtherapy.com. It carries its own antiseptic brushing agent for gum infection, teeth cleaning, bad breath, decay prevention, teeth whitening, and desensitizing. For the most natural, refreshing cleaning that you can do. There's no slop. You don't use toothpaste with this, and no rinsing. You don't rinse the mouth afterwards.
Cindy,
Yeah.
who recommended, I'm sorry, this goes against everything I learned.
There is a lot of stuff out there, but what you need to find out is what works for you. Because there are people on both sides of the fence.
And the same with fluoride, I mean, I know there are
Fluoride, yeah.
Fluoride, there are different, it's the one that's put into the water is actually toxic for us.
Right.
It's not in the correct form. Also, the one that's in the toothpaste is not in the correct form that our body
Right,
needs.
no, it needs to be the rinse that.
Right. So anyway, but this one, you can try it. The toothbrush is $11. And their shipping on both products is $4.75. It's not that much. So it's really inexpensive. Oh, and the toothbrushes will remain active for over a year.
Oh, that's great.
That's amazing. So the videos were not active on the toothbrush thing. I don't know why. So I couldn't watch any videos on that. But it talks about moistening the bristles with water, or you could put some of that a few drops of that Oral Cow on it.
Yeah.
And you brush your teeth, make sure your lips are closed around the bristles, and you do it for 3 to 5 minutes. And that stimulates the saliva. You empty your mouth, you spit it out, but do not rinse. Okay? Okay. So that's basically how you use that. And I thought, wow, that is interesting. I'd never heard that because I'd always been hearing, don't take calcium supplements. So this just like shocked me. But for the last, 3 or 4 years, I can't remember. It started before COVID. I started wearing aligners, just clear aligners. You know, like what's the most popular brand out there?
Invisalign?
Invisalign. But they were so expensive, I couldn't afford it. But I found another one called Candid, and they're just clear. So some of you saw me in Bible study because I had to wear them all day long for a year or two. I can't remember what it was. But since I'm no longer having to wear them all day long, and I just have to wear them at night because I found out if you stop using your retainers or whatever, your teeth will go back to what they were before.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I got it was because I was starting to have a whole lot of pressure right here in the bottom, that my teeth were starting to push in,
Yeah.
and it was starting to hurt, and so they helped spread them back out again. But I've had trouble since having to wear them at night, that I get it's been more and more recently, more bleeding. All of a sudden, I don't know if they irritate the gums or rub on them or what they do, but I've had a lot more bleeding of my gums having to wear these things. And when I saw this, I thought, I think I want to try that because
Are you flossing?
I am flossing. I wasn't able to floss before I used these things because my teeth were so close together before. I couldn't get the floss. If I could get it down, I couldn't get it back out.
Yeah.
And polish your
I didn't have that kind. I used the other kind because I couldn't get it down. So I used the little things to push it down
Yeah.
because I couldn't get it manually down. And so when I did get it down, then I had a hard time getting it back out. And so I didn't floss because I was afraid I was going to rip out fillings by doing
Well,
that.
even if you get a toothbrush and you don't put any toothpaste in it or anything, you can use the toothbrush just to massage your gum. Because the action of massaging it is what.
And I do that. I've been doing that. But I still, with these retainers or aligners or whatever you call them that I have to wear at night, my gums have been really bleeding. And even when I went to the dentist, they said, I think it's from your retainers. I don't think it's gum disease. I think it's from your retainers. So I think I'm going to try this just to see how it works and see if I can get those gums to stop bleeding. Are there any other questions about any of this stuff that we've talked today?
The vitamin D3, the VA sends me vitamin D3 tablets because I get severely deficient. So if I got like one of those lamps, would I be able to drop those vitamin D3 pills?
More likely.
Yeah.
The lights the reptile lights, are they different from fluorescent lights?
Yes.
Because I have a craft light, with the stand and everything that I used to use, and it's got this bright light.
Uh-huh. You have to read, it has to have the UVA and UVB.
Yeah,
And you
both
also want to read the ultra,
Right.
what do you call it?
Does that make
Ultraviolet?
Take
No.
that off and put the.
Infrared, that was it. Infrared with the heat.
UV.
So it is different than the fluorescence. There are a lot of people that have trouble with fluorescence.
Well, this.
And I don't know exactly what they do, but they are different.
Okay. I just thought, yeah, I'll just take that off and put the other one on.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, you should be able to just go to Petco or whatever, a pet store and get them. Or if you want a link, I can send you a link that you can go get something online.
Amazon has them for
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good thing to do because vitamin D is very important. It's needed in so many things in our bodies. So we do need to get it, but we want to make sure that we're getting it in a form that is not going to cause other harms down the road.
What does the fatty liver cause?
Oh, fatty liver is bad. We didn't get to it today. I've got other articles here. I've got one that goes through the different stages of what it
This
is.
is called,
If I take too much vitamin D, I get a fatty liver.
Right. Here's the different the progression. Here's a normal liver, and then this is called a fatty liver, and it gets spots on it, and it changes color. And then it progresses from that to fibrosis of the liver. Then from that to cirrhosis of the liver,
yeah,
which we used to only hear about with those who drank a lot of alcohol. But now the big thing is non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver. There's all of these people that are getting it that don't drink alcohol. You know, and then the last stage is liver cancer.
yeah,
But that's the progression. You don't want to keep going down this road. You want to be going this way. Okay?
yeah.
So, we will probably talk about some of that next week, because I didn't get to that. But yeah, you don't want fatty liver, but at least it's better. It's closer to normal than cirrhosis and those other things. So, anyway, any other questions?
Wow, I can't believe my doctor doesn't tell me if I.
Most doctors don't even know. There are so many health doctors that I've had that have you need vitamin D, so you got to get it some way. But instead of telling me to use sunlight,
no
they
clue.
would say,
All these things
take
are
help.
they're happening so fast, they got so much information. They don't have time to read all the information, so they're only, well, what happened 30 years ago, we can go with, and maybe something else, but they don't like using new treatments because they haven't been tried and true. And like fluoride, for instance, we went out, everybody wanted fluoride in everything because kids' teeth are rotten out by the 60s. We eat lots of sugar and lots of candy, and we were just plagued with lots of sugar. So they said, well, let's put fluoride in the water. Let's make sure there's fluoride in every toothpaste. And then they found out how toxic it was and how many how many people were getting awfully sick because of it. Now they're trying to
It's
retract
still in most water systems today.
and still.
But I did hear this last week about one city down in Florida that took the fluoride out. Seriously.
And even then, it takes a while for it to clean out.
Right.
Because it's so invasive.
Okay. Well, let's close with a word of prayer. Lord, I just want to thank you that you have created our bodies in such a marvelous way that when they're not overloaded with too many toxins and stuff, they can heal themselves. And Lord, I just thank you that people are out there and searching out your ways and finding out how did you create the body to actually work? And Lord, help us with all the disinformation that's out there, because we hear things from both sides and wonder which one's true. And Lord, that we would learn to listen to our bodies and help figure out we can learn by finding out things for ourselves, what's true and what's not, and help us to be able to discern those things for ourselves and not just accept everything that we're told out there, because not everything that we're being told is true. And I just thank you for giving us the discernment to be able to understand and to learn. And I thank you for these things now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay?
And guess what? I was able to hear you without my other ear.
Good.
It's opening up. Thank you, Lord.